G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Bloodied crossbow with VATS criticals doing 50% more damage and +1 agility, major and minor legendary effects respectively. Don't mind me just making sure we don't summon the devil. Anyways, so this thing is an interesting weapon. It got a big old buff when the Wastelanders expansion showed up because this thing didn't have all these cool new attachments, which I'll show you now because I haven't shown these off before. We're going with the explosive frame, so Bloodied explosive crossbow it is. But here's what you've got. You've got all this, basically it's all the same stuff that you get out of the bows, but you can use with the crossbow, which is an immensely superior weapon. Got better rate of fire, is easier to aim because you can actually aim down sights with it without using that. The bows in this game are weird, but you've got the iron sights or the glow sights, which they're kind of the same, I guess. You obviously want to go for the glow sights because the improved... actually, no. Weirdly, the glow sights are usually the ones with the superior accuracy, but in this case, it is the iron sights. But we're going to be using this during the night anyway, so a little bit of glow sights never hurt nobody. But, you know, if you want a tiny little bit more accuracy out of your weapon, there you go. That little extra 5% might be useful in VATS. Probably not. But yeah, we've also got... I think the prime frame is still the superior one, because I've noticed that the explosive is... It behaves a little bit weirdly. Perhaps a plasma frame would be nice too, just for a little bit of energy damage, but energy damage is kind of impotent anyway. Prime frame, honestly, is the way to go for the best damage. You might get slightly better damage out of the plasma one when you go ahead and add that energy damage, but honestly, versus Scorched Beasts, well, you want the prime one, and there's a big old boss called a Scorched Beast Queen, which you can utilize. Whether this one is actually good enough for a solid queen chest, well, I guess we'll have to see. Won't be using these explosive one, that's for sure. Anyway, so 85 damage compared to 70 damage, what we'd usually see out of this thing pre-patch. This one's got the standard frame, instigating. Obviously doesn't do anything to change the weapon card. Let's go ahead and give it some perks. Now, obviously, they didn't keep the rifleman perks to boost these things, so we're going for the archer perks, which is like the second time I've put these on, so that's nice. And we'll go over to Demolitions Expert. That'll give us some extra damage. And Bloody Mess goes on as well. And now we've got 173, which is quite a lot more. So, yeah. Maybe with a Demo Expert perk, you can make this do around about the same damage as you'd find out of a Plasma one. Let's have a look, shall we? Because on paper, damage means everything. It doesn't. So, 160. So, okay, so... We're hitting harder, but obviously the explosive ain't gonna do much. And the plasma one is hitting for less, actually. Okay, cool. That's interesting. Yeah, it looks like the prime frame is doing less than the explosive and the plasma. Interesting. Okay, so we're playing as Bush Wookiee Winter today. Believe me, it is her. See? There we go. She looks like a Chewie. Stay until the end to hear my Wookiee impression. Now we're doing 536 damage, which honestly, for a crossbow, that's not bad. Going over to this without all the Bloodied, yeah, 222 versus 536. It's a big old upgrade. Okay, so here we are outside the state of Utobitha, and there are our targets down there. I want to see if this thing's got any drop. No, but there's a little bit of spread. So I've noticed a bug with these things. If you decide that, if the game decides it's gonna crash, or if you just exit out of the game and come back, the glow sights don't show up. So yeah, I've got no real frame of reference. Thankfully for the one that I haven't got equipped, this one, I can see the glow sights here, but yeah, for some reason it removed them on here, which, you know, it kind of sucks. And it'll still show you that it has them on. See? It's got the glow sights, and now we're doing 601. Let's push this adrenaline, push the advantage. We'll see how much explosive damage we get, because I don't feel like it'll be a ton. Although we are hitting them for what is like 1800 damage. Now there's a little bit of skill to be used with this weapon, which is nice, because your projectiles aren't going to be there instantly, and you... 126. That's not very good splash damage. Well, that's good, because that means you can't be a giant scrub and just bounce explosive damage over everything. So that's good. It'll just mean it's a bit slow if you've got a bad aim. Oh, that's a floater. Alright, time to teach this damage over time balloon a lesson. I thought these guys were friends with super mutants because they're all FEV freaks. Don't know. I feel like they ought to be. Anyways, we'll reload this thing and we'll take on this turret. There we go. So we've got the damage. We just kind of need to hit the target. And we're getting the sneak criticals almost 4 times. So yeah, looks like anything that'll stand up to this will obviously be above the health range of a super mutant. So obviously not having the hit scan projectile makes sniping a little bit hard, but it's actually kind of quick. And if you're far away enough from your target... Oh, that was a reload. I saw you put the bolt in. Oh, nice. A 3-star drop. There you go. It does happen. Yeah, it's nice that you can actually see the bolt fly through the air if you fire back far enough. Like, there's some cool tracer work going on here. That's a pretty cool effect. I don't know who did that, but give that person a raise. And also tell them to fix the broadside with some sort of cool effect, so at least it looks cool. I think that was a doggo because I blew it up and took out a fire extinguisher with it. Alright, so now we're on the inside. Let's see how we go when we have the threat of blowing ourselves up. So far, so good. Obviously, the crossbow is a immensely quiet weapon, so... Well, obviously the explosion isn't, but they can't track you. Totally clipped through that. So, yeah. They can't track where I'm shooting from, but they can track the explosions. I don't think the AI is actually sophisticated enough to chase around noise like that, like they did in older Fallout games. Like, you can shoot right next to a dude, and they won't react. That might have been a thing that they did on purpose, though. Because if they were going to port AI over directly from Fallout 4, it'd be easier to not change anything. But that's an interesting thing. Since it's a multiplayer game, maybe they didn't want to punish players for missing as much. But yeah, we've got the jetpack chest on, which we could possibly use. Also, was that Super Mutant commenting on my video? He's not a fan. He thinks it's boring. And is it? Be honest, is it boring right now? Hey, that guy was so bored that he forgot that I was around. I mean, I could be doing this a lot faster with an automatic rifle of non-legendary description, but, you know, getting some good use out of a crossbow is nice. It might even be good enough to hang on the wall. Trouble is, though, that we won't be able to use much of the cool new, I guess, projectiles on a thing like a Scorched Beast Queen, because obviously we're going to go for the ultrasight ones, which are already in the game. But we might have the power with this, because you got to remember that despite this thing... I did unequip and re-equip this, right? I feel like it reloads faster sometimes, but I think it's still... We can still rechamber or reload this thing faster than we can rechamber a hunting rifle, so that's good. Which means we get better DPS. The problem is that obviously not a hit scan weapon. Hitting from range will be a pain. Also, non-crippling issues, so... Oof. If I did decide to put this against the Scorched Earth, I think I'd struggle. It'd take a while, unfortunately. We're almost through these super mutants, and it's gonna go exactly like this for the rest of them, so there's not much going on here. So we'll quickly mop up the rest of these bastards, and then we'll fight some ghouls. Hopefully they'll provide more of an interesting challenge than these guys. These big green dum-dums. No good. Absolutely no good. It'd be cool if they added a super mutant radio like Utopia back in Fallout New Vegas, though. I wonder what they'd talk about. Actually, they'd probably put on music, so I wouldn't listen to it anyway. See, all the third-party music is a no-no on YouTube. Let's move on. Okay, you join me with a bunch of ghouls chasing me. What I'm trying to do here is get some sort of splash damage going, but since the ghouls' AI has changed, they're all a bit standoffish, so we'll go with that. We managed to get a few there. There we go. So, like expected, these guys are a little bit less resistant to explosions than the 8-foot-tall green people, so that helps. And since they're so flimsy and weak, we can actually nail a few at a time. So if you're looking for an effective anti-ghoul solution here, and you can't aim for fucking shit, and you don't want to use a Tesla, well, you've got a decent option here, I guess. I don't think you can pick up the the crossbow bolts back off them, but I swear I've seen one drop off a super mutant before. It does make a lot of sense to get the arrows back because they're all kind of exploding. but it's certainly a thing that can happen. Seemingly killing these guys with great ease. They did hit me a few times because of netcode issues, but I think that's just pushed us into like another threshold of Bloodied, which is at 10%, I think. So that allows us to get just a little bit more out of our explosive attacks. Alrighty, time to clean up some drug addicts. This is a war on drugs. Take that. Ooh, big old missile launcher. Yeah, nah. I don't think they carry around those weird laser rifles anymore. Again, hit me again, he says, as his limbs are all exploded on the ground. Classic Bethesda. Was that the person that just exploded saying someone's close because... Well, I guess you aren't wrong, but then they didn't explode. They exploded, but then they didn't explode. They're actually fine, all intact. And not only that, are they T-posing? They might be, you know.
I'll only cut off one hand if you show yourself now.
I kind of need two of them to reload. Also, okay, so apparently this whole entire run is just cursed because everyone who's dying is exploding, reforming, speaking post-mortem. Yeah, just Bethesda things right there. Anyways, Swan's over there. Hopefully we won't struggle against his giant hitbox with our puny little explosives, but one can hope that we'll have a good time with this. We seem to have knocked a third of his health out. Got the rest of it with a cheeky little headshot. Alright, let's tenderize the crabs and we'll try to snipe them. Now these are pretty big targets, so if I miss, it just means I suck. I can still scope them out with VATS though. Yeah, nice. Just a little bit of leading with a little cheeky sneak critical does the work. Oh, that one tried to cloak. Yeah, you don't got escape artist, mate. I can see through that. Next, you're next. Now we spawned a bunch of dudes over there. We're kind of done already with the blood dudes, the blood eagles. That's the one, isn't it? Yes. Oh, that one's even legendary. You can sort of aim if you eye it off the middle of the screen, but yeah, it's not the most reliable. Also, I haven't crafted a bolt in ages. These have just kind of been showing up in my inventory, just, you know, picking them up passively as I play the game. So yeah, I've farmed very long and hard to get these ammo stores what they are. Now question, can we aggro... I don't think we can get the clean out with an explosive from the bolts. Which probably means that, like, they don't even mind the bolts being around. That's so weird. Like, the bolt doesn't make an explosion noise, according to them. Which is potentially advantageous, yes. I can see the advantages of having a completely silent explosion. Alright, let's finish this up with some old-fashioned bat hunting. Let's see if I can't nail him from down here. This might take a while. See, we can't aggro him by shooting him. Okay, maybe we're slightly out of range. Let's just have a little bit of a warm-up on these chumps. There we go, that's the stuff. That's what we want to see. What about splash damage versus you guys? Yeah, you're not a fan of that, are you? You must have been a lower level one. Oh, I don't think I've actually seen Power Park there. It's usually out here, isn't it? Must have changed the position. There you go. Didn't know that. Didn't make the patch notes. How could I have known that? Nice! That's what we wanted to see. And apparently we got both the splash damage and the damage from the thing hitting them. Not a huge amount of damage, mind you, but, you know, damage nonetheless. Got a couple of robots to clear out. Don't see these guys a ton. So, good to see them here. Problem is they're going to be aggroing everything. And I noticed that one was around his mates, and I was able to get the kill with some splash damage. So, yeah, there's some utility value here to be had with the explosive. Oh my god, he... Really? Wow, okay. Explosives working versus a Scorch Beast. Okay. So now that we can understand that Bethesda can code non-hit scan projectile explosives to actually work, why exactly is the broadside still in the sorry state that it is? What's the difference there? Is it because of its giant cannonball projectile? Because it might be. Maybe they should sample... Okay, that was odd. Maybe they should sample some of the code here and see what they can do with that. What are you going to do, mate? You're going to land. Now, this thing's got the extra crit damage. I've been kind of sleeping on VATS a little bit. His looks like he's sleeping too. Alright. We'll get that hit in on the noggin. There we go. There we go. I can actually use the thing in VATS. It does alright. And now, crowd control. Hell yeah. Decently wide radius for what it is. I feel like it's around the same-ish as a legendary explosive bullet, which, you know, for the splash damage to be boosted off the base damage, it's not terrible. In fact, I think I would have killed those guys a lot quicker than if I was shooting them individually. Or maybe not, I would have had to use the 4 for the ones that were there. But yeah, it's just kind of there. It's not great or it's not terrible, not worthy of praise or scorn. It's just kind of there. So if you want a little bit of extra damage, if you're not 100% accurate with your shots all the time, and believe you me, I'm not. So, you know, there's a little bit of utility value there. But it's not going to be crushing every single thing like some other explosive weapons are in the game. That's some decent accuracy on the head. On the torso, it's looking pretty good. Obviously, that is because of the giant agility boost from my unyielding armor. I mean, perception. It's perception. So, yeah, I could have made a lot better use out of this thing and its things. I wonder if Livy would like this. She's a fan of VATS and fucking it slaps hard. Let's not aggro the tools. Actually, if... Where is he? Got the splash damage at least. But yeah, I think you get the point of this weapon. It's pretty decent, but you know, it's never gonna be meta bending. But for a crossbow, it's performed admirably. I ain't got nothing too terrible to say about it. It does its job as a crossbow, and it completely smashes like the bows. So yeah, it's pretty good. If you want it, let me know. Livy, that one's Livy. Also, you're probably wondering where the Wookiee impression is. Thank you for unsubscribing.